All right, so we're back with another Batman the Animated Series watch along, and this episode is going to be Birds of a Feather, which is, I think, one of the best Penguin episodes. I've talked before about how I really love and appreciate the version of the Penguin that was given to us in Batman the Animated Series. The vocal characterization by Paul Williams is fantastic. I feel like it's definitely worthy of comparison with I would say yes. I would say that in terms of uh Batman voice actors, what Kevin Conroy is to Batman and what uh Mark Hamill is to the Joker. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Paul Williams absolutely is that to the Penguin. I mean, there's been a lot of great Penguin actors that followed him, like say Stephen Root and Tom Kenny, both of whom did a great job. But Paul Williams just to me, I think part of the appeal is he just made the role his own. A lot of the times, like the shadow of Burgess Meredith looms large over the Penguin, and I do think that while that is probably the most definitive version of the character, it does come to the point where like people can be kind of precious about it. And Paul Williams did his own thing with the Penguin, and it really fits the character and the characterization that they put into it. And to me, the thing that is the what you have as the underlying theme of the Penguin as far as being a villain is that he's a guy that thinks of himself as being very very classy and very elegant and like the gentleman criminal, that kind of thing. But when he come down to it, he's just a thug. So I think that's part of why also like the Colin Farrell version just didn't really work for me because he just was a thug, just straight up. He didn't really have that sort of wanting to be classy kind of like that wannabe gentleman sort of thing, but he's not really that much of a gentleman. He was just a straight up thug, and but Colin Farrell's one just was a straight up thug. He didn't even have like the pretense of, of being the genteel aristocrat character that the Penguin usually pretends at least like he wants to be. So yeah, and that's one of those weird things too, where like Colin Farrell was actually one of I thought the better things about the movie, in that at least I found his characterization entertaining, even though I didn't really recognize him as being the Penguin whatsoever. At least when he was on screen, something entertaining was happening. So I hate to be the guy who's critical of that character because even though it didn't really work for me, I thought that he did a good job. Like it's a sort of thing where like you got to be able to look at stuff and be able to be critical of it like on a personal level but still appreciate that something's good but it's just not for you. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense? Anyway, let's go ahead and watch something that's definitely good. We're going to watch Batman the Animated Series, Birds of a Feather. Here we go. And there's our Warner Brothers shield, fades into the blimp. We're going to pan down, and there's our bank and our shifty eyed characters. Boom. Okay. So yeah, like the Penguin doesn't have like as many episodes as the Joker. I would think he would have like more episodes than what he actually does have, since they were trying to give him a push for the movie. That's the other thing about this version of the Penguin, is he is very much designed to look like Danny DeVito's version. I've mentioned before how I like how this version kind of splits the difference between the Batman Returns version and the comic book version, and I think it kind of pulls a lot of things that I like from both versions, which is why I really enjoy it. I like the aesthetic of the character on this. I don't mind that he looks like what Pengy looked like in Batman Returns, because I liked Batman Returns. But of course, they kind of cleaned them up a little bit. Story by Chuck Menville and Bryn Stevens, directed by Frank Power. Hey, look, I said I got to say both the script writers and the director.
Ah, Audubon, my personal favorite.
And we know that Penguin has mentioned his love of Autobahn and the Mechanic. It does seem like there's a lot of Penguin episodes kind of clumped together here. The next episode's actually even going to be a Penguin episode. Hmm. And again, that whole sort of aspect of the Penguin where he's like just this he thinks of himself as being such a charmer.
You're back to your old games, huh, Penguin? You again and again and again.
And Penguin, like the Joker, it's interesting he's using smoke grenades there, not just, spraying some smoke out of his umbrella like you would expect. But much like the Joker, he was one of the few villains. I think him and the Joker were the only villains that were introduced as having like an established rivalry with Batman. There was a little bit of an animation error there where like Batman just ran out of the wall. Like the the edge of the frame was too far out or whatever. And then he got smashed by a chandelier. You'll never learn, Penguin.
No!
Caged again. Caged bird. So some time has passed.
So, today's the day, huh? Planning on making a big splash?
No need. They never forget the true elite.
Even though we've had like a bunch of Penguin episodes already, I think this one probably would have worked best if it had been the first Penguin episode. If this had been our introduction to the character.
Never again.
I'm going to make a sweeping proclamation. This is my fanon now. This is my headcanon. This is actually chronologically the earliest appearance of the Penguin on the show.
What's the matter, Penguin? Maybe the cream of society's curdled, huh?
Womp womp.
You coming or not? I got a schedule,
And a lovely disposition to go with it.
Oh boy.
This is hardly the style to which I am accustomed.
The girl there with the spiky hair, that one. That's a deliberate homage to Love and Rockets. That's one of the characters from Love and Rockets. Forget which one. Is it Maggie or Hoopy? It's one of those two.
It's high time you threw a party and make it the biggest bash ever.
Oh, and this guy that talks like this.
He's a jerk.
And there are no interesting celebrities.
And this character, Veronica Vreeland, would go on to become a recurring character on the show. I think she kind of fills in the spot that they probably originally intended for Summer Gleason to fill in as being kind of like a frequent damsel in distress kind of character. If you watched my very first watch along video, which was the tribute to Arlene Sorkin, I talk about Veronica Vreeland quite a bit in that episode because I like that character.
If you're trying to surprise me,
His hideout's been pretty much abandoned.
Say, who's there? Two-Face? Croc? Joker, old shoe.
But this probably couldn't have been the earliest chronologically because,
Oh,
Harvey wouldn't have been Two-Face in the early episodes. He would have still been District Attorney.
wherever you go, I'll be right behind you.
And the only person there to welcome him is Batman.
But you needn't bother. Haven't you heard? I've reformed, paid my debt to society, and all that.
We'll see. I just came to tell you to keep your beak clean.
Rat poison.
As long as you're here, won't you stay for a cappuccino?
So Penguin guy trying to go straight is another kind of trope of the character. Pretty much every episode of the original Batman television show, the Penguin was trying to convince people that he'd gone straight. He wasn't planning any more crimes. No, I'm a humble restaurateur now. No, I'm running for mayor.
Veronica Vreeland here.
Veronica Vreeland? The Veronica Vreeland?
Yes, and I'm sure there's only one Oswald Chesterfield Cobblepot. I've so wanted to meet you.
You have?
Are you free for dinner tomorrow? 7ish at Angelo's?
Oh, c'est-moi, my dear. I'll see you there.
And you also notice that even though, like, I've pointed this out before, even though technically smoking was not allowed on this show, Penguin still has a cigarette. And I think that probably has a lot to do with just the fact that it was just such a part of the character at that point. Penguin has horrible table manners.
Ah, si, signor. A table for two?
Is that who I think it is? Come along, Binky. We've already been robbed once this year.
Signore, aspetta.
Such an enchanting evening. But tell me, my dear, what are you hatching?
Whatever do you mean?
There's more to our encounter than meets my eagle eye, isn't there?
Why, Oswald, how could you think such a thing? I've always been captivated by your rapacious wit. Not to mention that fine, growing nose.
She knows how to flatter a guy. Oh, man.
Naturally. Come, let us fly, my love. Garçon, the check, if you please.
I see you like short, stocky men.
The management offers the meal with his compliments if you will just leave.
Yeah.
They seem to know you quite well. Have you eaten here before?
I've been known to stop by for a quick carry-out.
In this sort of almost romantic version of the Penguins theme.
Hey, I smell money.
By the by, Ozzy, in 2 days I'm throwing a small do. Intimate almost. Just 100 or so of my dearest friends.
I'd be delighted. You are inviting me, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay. You know the drill, fatso. Wallet, jewels, cough 'em up.
You insolent cur. Don't you know who I am? Not with that mask.
It's kind of funny these guys don't recognize the Penguin. I always like to point out on these episodes when, like, I feel like somebody other than Batman himself is actually the protagonist. And in this episode, it's the Penguin. He's the main character. This is the Penguin's story.
That's too fine a collar for a mongrel like you.
And it's cool that he didn't actually use any of his umbrella weapons. He didn't, he just used his umbrella. We don't even know if there are any weapons in that particular umbrella. But people tend to underestimate the Penguin's physical prowess. He's always supposed to be like faster and more nimble and physically skilled than it would initially appear.
Come on, you rotten. I knew you couldn't stay clean for more than one day.
Let him go. He didn't do anything. It was those brutes.
He wasn't with them.
That's right, you vulgar vigilante. In my day, I associated with a much higher class of riffraff.
Of course, he says
I'm so
vigilante,
As long as
like
you
the like how Lego Batman says it.
Peach.
Yeah.
Why don't you be a good masked man and ride off into the night? This time, I'll clean up after you.
Mm.
He fenced with his umbrella? How droll.
This penguin will absolutely make your party.
You know, it was quite touching, actually. It's not often that a man rushes to my rescue. Unfortunately, he wants to see me again.
Who's that, Veronica?
I've heard you're running around with a dangerous crowd.
Well, keep it under your hat, Brucey, but I've just snagged the penguin for my party.
Why?
For the entertainment, Dodo. Can't you just see their faces when that stuffed capon waddles in? Oh, lighten up, Wayne. After all, he is NOKD. Not our kind, dear.
You know, when I was a kid and I first watched this episode, I thought he was supposed to be like Veronica's boyfriend or something, but I don't think he's supposed to be the type of person to have anybody for a girlfriend, if you know what I mean. You did just call Bruce Wayne dear. I'm just saying. You would think they would have saved Pagliacci for a Joker episode. He's actually what's in the title card there. But he's a sad clown, and it's almost kind of what Penguin is in this episode. You notice how they have him wearing like a slightly different outfit with the bow tie. Like he dressed up in an even more formal outfit. Looks like Bruce Wayne was dating Helen Mirren.
So you're the president of Gotham First Federal. I hope you beefed up your security. Those time locks were easy to circumnavigate, as I recall. Sir, you leave me at a loss for words. I certainly left you at a loss for funds. Lovely dress. Prison chic. Makes her look like a gathering of Cell Block 3. Say, isn't that Mayor Hill? Hey, Hammy!
Hammy.
He's beautiful. Can you imagine tomorrow's papers? There's not enough ink to print all this faux pas.
I don't know, Pierce. I've got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah. They play him for a lot of sympathy in this episode.
Admiring the Vreeland jewelry, Mr. Cobblepot?
Ah, Mr. Wayne, isn't it? Actually, I was thinking of adding this to her collection.
I'm sorry. Maybe the rumors of your reform are not exaggerated.
Anything's possible when love is involved, if you'll excuse me.
Oh, will you relax? You've done him a favor.
But Pierce.
You said it yourself. That fat bird would never get invited to a party like this. Not with those clothes, that waddle, those flippers.
Oswald.
Did she mention my fine Roman nose?
Who was that? What's going on?
Good heavens.
He took her.
Didn't take much to get him to revert to type, did it?
Well, it's been over 24 hours.
I assure you that every available man is on this case, Mr. Chapman.
It's times like these when I wonder why we pay you people.
Listen here, you simpering little twit. You were foolish enough to invite the penguin. Now it's his party.
Yep.
What is it?
The ransom note. He wants $1 million from her trust.
$1 million.
It's just one catch, Mr. Chapman. He wants you to make the drop.
The drop?
Dramatic music. There's a power on the sign there, on the road sign. Looked a lot like ISIS, didn't it?
Go to the corner of Barr and Englehart.
Barr and Englehart, of course, both being very prolific Batman writers. I've mentioned Steve Englehart on the show a few times. A few of his stories have been adapted. There's a Mike Barr story coming up. We'll talk a little bit about that when we get to it.
Hello.
Is that you? It's Pierce. I've got the money.
I knew I could count on
Your kind.
Right.
Dear.
I'll just leave it here, and you can pick it up at your convenience.
Not quite, my
Huh.
friend. Take exactly one step out of the booth, turn left, and start walking.
How far?
You'll know when you get there.
And there's his duck again. I didn't talk about the duck last time, but in Batman Returns, he had a duck that was like part of the theme park ride at the zoo. That he'd adapted into a vehicle.
Don't forget your luggage.
And in this, he often uses like an inflatable duck as transportation. And this appears to be the same sewer hideout that he had in The Mechanic. And of course, the Penguin had a sewer hideout in Batman Returns.
Oh my lord!
I believe you two know each other.
Hank, what is this?
The end of the show, when the fat bird sings.
Please, Oswald, if it's money you want, I can get you more.
Shut up! All I wanted from you, dearie, was a little friendship. That would have cost you nothing. But now you'll pay. Huh?
Fat Tracker.
I believe this calls for an acceleration of my plans. It's been smashing.
Oswald, it didn't end this way. I truly was grown fond of you. We might have been friends. We still might.
Yes, we all might.
Sorry. It is better to have loved and lost and made a small profit than never to have loved at all.
But Batman arrives in the nick of time.
I see. On to Act 2.
Penguin's had umbrella copters a lot over the years, but I have to imagine his frequent use of it in this episode was probably inspired by his use of a similar thing in Batman Returns. And he is an opera fan, so he's got to be wearing his Viking helmet.
Who said opera has to be boring?
Batman stops at just the last second. I gotta imagine the chandelier coming down was also like an homage to Phantom of the Opera. There's a lot of Phantom of the Opera in this. Even like with the sewer being directly underneath the opera house.
Careful. Careful.
I have to actually like get him out with a torch.
I really was grown fond of you. It's too bad this had to happen.
I suppose it's true what they say. society is to blame. High society.
Who knows? Maybe things could have gone differently. But, I think Penguin never changes his spots, as they say. So here we go. Kevin Conroy is Batman. Bob Hastings as Commissioner Gordon. Mary Lou Henner is Veronica. I think the character design was probably based off of Mary Lou Henner quite a bit. By the way, the first movie I ever saw Mary Lou Henner in, and the thing I know her best from, she's probably most famous for the TV show Taxi. But the thing that I most remember her from was a movie called Johnny Dangerously, which she co-starred with Michael Keaton as the titular Johnny Dangerously, and Danny DeVito was in that movie. So yeah, Neil Ross is. Oh, sorry, we got ahead of ourselves. Sam McCurry as Pierce, Neil Ross as Jake. We've talked about Neil Ross before. Danny Wells as the guard, and Paul Williams as the Penguin. So that was a good episode. I enjoyed watching that. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. The next episode will be Blind as a Bat, which, also has the Penguin in it. That's the episode where Batman gets blinded, because there always has to be an episode where the superhero gets blinded, right? So after that, we're way into the first season. How many more episodes of the first season do we have? That is a question I should answer right now. Here we go. Okay, Robin's Reckoning, Blind as a Bat, Day of the Samurai, See No Evil, Demon's Quest Part 1 and 2, Read My Lips, Fire from Olympus, Shadow of the Bat Part 1 and 2, Mudslide with the return of Clayface, and then Paging the Crime Doctor. And then technically we've got one more episode left of season 1. But after Paging the Crime Doctor, we're going to take a little bit of a break, and we're going to watch Batman Mask of the Phantasm, the animated movie. So if you want to make sure that you catch that and you don't miss any of our future watch-alongs, make sure you like and subscribe and all that fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment and let me know what you thought about this episode. Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Maybe you like the Penguin, maybe you don't. I don't know. Let me know in the comments, and we will talk to you next time. Bye.